Hey guys, it's Monday. You know what that is? Monday Madness. And we're painting a little lake scene with the canoe. I go everything step by step. I actually attach a reference photo, but I've changed the whole background, make it a little bit different. If you're a Patreon member, you get to have the traceable. If you're not a Patreon member, you should check it out. I have ad-free videos, exclusive tutorials, traceables, and live streams once a month on the top tier. If you haven't hit the bell notification button, please hit the bell notification button. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you want to check out my Patreon, check it out here. Boop. Yeah, it's a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate. So without further ado, let's go to the lake. All right, guys, I'm going to go over my supplies. I have a 3-inch square of arched 100% cotton cold pressed paper. My paints and my palette, I go over them as I use them. I'll be using the Princeton 8 and 4 long round Velvet Touch Series brush, paper towel, water jars. I attached a reference photo I kind of used for the canoe, a little bit here, but I changed the background here. If you're on Patreon, like I said, you have the traceable, but you'll see how I kind of like take a reference photo and I change it. I'm not going to use the same sky. I'm not going to use the same tree area. I'm going to use more of a lake with some faded mountains in the background. Yeah, and I taped this down with Scotch tape on a piece of hard cardboard just to keep it laying flat. So let's go zoom. So I think I'll start with the sky. I really just want a pale sky. I'm going to do a pale, like a really light mountain in the background. I'm going to use my Princeton 8 long round. I'm going to grab some ultramarine. Just simple. I have a beautiful Verdier blue here. I might put that in there too. It makes a nice pretty sky. Really water this down. I want this really pale. Okay, tapping on my paper towel. I'm just going to go across. I've added a lot more water too, see? I'm just adding a lot more water. The sky. Just going over the area where I want the sky to go. Just really pale. Pretty blue sky. So this one has blue with the clouds. I might just gonna plop in some color too. You can remove color by taking a paintbrush and dabbing it back on paper towel, or take the paper towel and lifting up color for the clouds. Just many different ways. So it's a pale blue sky, as you can see. Where the mountains are. So this background, there's a little background mountain here. Zoom in so you can see. A little background mountain. I want like a pale green, purple kind of color. So I'm going to grab some magenta. I'm not going to magenta. Ultramarine. Like a bluish, purple kind of color. I'm also going to have at the same time, I'll grab some peacock blue. Some yellow. A nice green, add a little brown to that, burnt umber, and I'll water this down. So I'm going to bleed color into color. Just testing this. Yeah, it's dry. So we've got this pretty purplish color here. A little bit darker than that sky. A little more concentrated paint. And I'm going to add a little of this green here. A little more green. Mix with the purple. So I'm bleeding the colors into each other. And these are the background mountains. If I want to add a little more purple, go ahead and do that. You're playing around with the color here at this point. A little more purple. That should dry fairly light. You know, if it doesn't, if you feel like it's still dark, you can kind of lift the color a little bit with your paper towel. Just tap it really lightly. And it's there. It's faded. The canoe we can do too early right now. But I would do the water before I do the canoe because that's going to be a darker color. So you're going to play around with the water and the trees here. We're going to do these little mini mounds here with trees, and the water is going to be here. So let's just play around with the water first. I'm just going to grab some peacock blue, ultramarine mixed with that. This little green I got in there. I want to water this down. I'm a peacock. What a bright kind of blue toned. Just really, really pale. Still using my Princeton 8 long round. See, I'm just kind of pushing this paint around. Just really placing it light where the water is going to go. Around the canoe. This is the lake part. I do want to keep it light and bright. So I'm going to lift up some of this paint here. Really just light. You can make it darker if you want. I'm keeping mine light. So you can barely see some blue. You want to get a little bit darker back here. I'll grab a little bit ultramarine. Put a little bit black, darker blue back here. Just a little bit. We're not going to get too crazy. Little stripes here. Voila. When this dries, we'll add a little more blue. I don't want it to bleed at this point. So we're going to do the inside of the canoe. It's got this beige yellow kind of color here. I'm going to grab my burnt umber, mix it some of the yellow, cadmium yellow deep. That purple we had in here, I'm going to just grab a little purple, kind of dull this down. I'm going to add a lot more water. You can barely see the paint, right? It kind of beads up. But you can see it on like your paper towel. So you get this really pale, kind of beige tone right inside. Now the canoe has a white trim. It's going to be tricky with this teeny brush. I might switch actually to my number 4. So you can probably do some gouache when you're done. It might be a lot easier than to keep the other sides white. Get that pale beige. I'm going to go in and add a little brown, burnt umber. A little more in here. Now the ore, we can make that brown too. I'm just going to go right down here. I didn't show you in this sketch. So this doesn't show an ore, but I wanted to put an ore. Just putting one out here. Basically, it's just like a nice line down and like a little bit wider, and like a triangle on the tip. And then we'll let that dry. We'll add some darker highlights to it. Just tapping like the tip and the bottom where it meets the ore part. Got some dark brown, mixed with a little gray. So we use this brush, little details. Tiny painting. This area, test and see if it's dry. Okay, we're gonna see that green we mixed up. Gonna wash some of that green in. Just up over in here. This is gonna be these little tree mounds that we see here. This is the beach. We're going to add more brown to that. I'm going to add some green here. This would be layered greens and browns. So put the green, grab a little burnt umber, kind of bleed that in there. Grab that green again. The bottom here, we're going to make a deeper color, so we got burnt umber. And I'll grab some darker green. So I'll mix some Prussian blue with some cadmium yellow deep, get a nice dark green, and I'll add some of that burnt umber. Put that right down here. Really concentrated. Gonna add a little more burnt umber. Clean up my brush. I'm gonna get this brown color right in here. So getting a little darker still. You can start to put in these little trees. So basically, you have that dark green that you have, peacock, let me say, Prussian blue with yellow, and add a little burnt umber. So I just kind of make these lines that go down and just kind of wisp out the tree. Like so. Got a little more brown to that. So it's just like a line down, these little wisps, like you would see an evergreen tree look like. Just like that. So it's a line down with little wisps. Let me just point you. Line down, little teeny wisps like this. Okay. That's how you do it. I'm going to grab some Prussian blue. Kind of just tap that in there, bleed that in a little bit. A little bit darker. In certain areas, just like that. So that's that background area. We'll work on this one. Again with that dark green. Mix a little brown. Oops, I don't want it too dark on this side. Kind of taking off the paint on my paper towel. Just playing around with the same scenario. The line down and the little wisps. These are making a bit lighter. Getting a little bit darker here and here, little spots. I am going to take some brown, this burnt umber. So you can add Paynes gray or a little black. So a little bit of like rocks here. So going to water down some of this black. I actually have some black gouache I like to water down. You can water down any kind of black you have. I'm just going to make these little kind of dots to indicate rocks. Get a little bit darker in some areas. Or you can just use the burnt umber too. And then I'll use some of the burnt umber back here. Going into the beach. So like that tan color we had before here. Kind of push this around. And over here, because this is our beach. Just fill this all in. With that burnt umber color that's really pale that we had like inside here. So our ore is going to get darker. Look at this pale beachy tone. Now, while it's still damp, You can take some of your darker browns, a little bit of grays on the tip of your brush. Kind of just tap it a little bit on the edges. It's bleeding a lot here because it's very damp over here. It's not bleeding as much over here. Indicate little rocks, because it wouldn't be really like a sandy beach like you saw here, because the color is so orangey. I don't know why, but you see all these little different dark colors in here. You could add a little orange tone to it. We've got some yellow and some magenta. Water this down. Could add a little of that orangey kind of tone. Just kind of bleeding some of that in. Little lines, see, going this way. Little taps. And then some dark ones we talked about. The little concentrated color won't bleed as much. So if you have some really dark there. So we're getting there, right? We're building up all this stuff. While you have that brown, you can go in here right inside the canoe on this side. Just put in a nice little shade in here. The shadow inside the canoe. And of course it's lighter out here. Then we have the crossbars. We can make them a lot darker. And we can make the oar darker too. So I'm getting a little bit darker here with the handle, going down, putting a line right in the middle and a line outlining it. Boo. Back here where the trees kind of meet the sand, and put a little darker color. It's kind of bleeding in some color here. Now we're going to have like a little reflection kind of over here and here. Over here, I'm going to add a little bit of brown right here in the water. And then we'll add some of that pretty green. Just these little lines with your brush going back and forth. See that? That's like a little reflection. In the water. And we could do another one here. The green. Just kind of make these lines going across. Like that. We're getting there, guys. You want to take your ultramarine blue. We mix with that Prussian blue here. I always tap it on a paper towel. And we can add a little bit of lines going out here and coming down in here. Just like that. You don't want a million of them. Obviously closer to the shore. Out here. So we're doing it like another layer. A couple of little ones back here. And back here. A little bit darker, like I said, towards the back end. That got a little too bright. We're building on this. That's my doodle sniffing. Keep adding little dash lines. Little ones out here. Okay, let's work on the canoe. So I want to make that red. So I'm going to mix my quinacradone magenta and some cadmium deep. Make a nice pretty red. Like I said, I've told before, like 3 colors you need. Like I like magenta, the yellow, and I would use the peacock blue or cobalt blue because then you can make a million things. I have that butterfly tutorial that shows you 3 colors and how you can make a million colors from 3 colors. So I made the red. I'm going to slowly put in a color. Just fill the canoe. See, I'm going to leave that white edge. I'm going to finish it up with some deeper tones in the red and on the sand with the shadow. And pretty much done. I just fill this in like so. Now the edge is white. If you did mess up and you didn't leave any white, like if I want to go up a little bit higher here, if you have white gouache on hand, you can go ahead and use that. It's a little cheat. Everybody should have white. I think everybody should have white and black gouache. I like to use black because sometimes you want more intensity. So going down here, the sand, I want a little bit darker on the bottom. You can take more magenta in here, add a little ultramarine or Prussian blue. So it's going to be like purple. Go back and add some yellow and the magenta again. And you get like a deep crimson color. All right, so we have the kind of crimson kind of tone mixed in. We can kind of like wash this in a little bit down the bottom. Going back to the edge here. So it's a little bit darker, obviously on the bottom. Gonna mix some on red. Just get a little bit darker where it's hitting the bottom. So I'm gonna do a shadow like you see here, like a nice deep shadow. But first I want to just fix the inside of the canoe. And we have the crisscross. And get a little bit darker here. I have too much red on my brush. Gotta take it off. Add a little yellow. Sometimes when you make a mistake, you just got a paper towel close by and you lift it up. Isn't that great? So again, now that the sand is dry, you can go back in and add those little nooks and crannies and little things you missed. Same back here, like the little line here. The green before the sand. And then those little nooks and crannies. Those little dots. Now we're going to take a deeper burnt umber. Got a little bit orange yellow. I'm going to put that dark shadow in there. You can add a little blue to that. Bluish brown. Right under the boat. Going straight out. I know, right? Right under here. All the way to the tippy top. Boom. Really just pumps it up, right? You can take that same paint, go in here, just go to this little line and on the edge here, and then put that little crossbar. It's just really gonna punch it up. And then on the oar again. So again, you can use that dark color. Just go back in here. Fix up some little doodads. Add a little ultramarine blue up in here. With the green. Just kind of fixing that a little bit. I do want to take some of that brown out. So so you can just go in there. It's a little wet. I'm putting a little water on this area, and then taking a paper towel and lifting it up. And then go back in and add that pretty orangey kind of beach kind of tone. Seemed a little dark there. So like I said, if you didn't have the white edge, you can just take some gouache. I don't know what my gouache is. It's kind of hiding. But I have some dried gouache here. And the white gouache. You can just kind of lift that up and just go on the edge of the boat. Right? So you have your white edge. If you wanted to show the white edge, you don't have to show the white edge. It could be a darker color. Right? I would probably have to put some more blue around the boat this way so you see the white edge. It's meant to make sense. But I think I'm loving the way it looks. Oh, I did want to add a couple little seagulls. So take a gray color, whatever you got that's gray. You don't want it really black. I just do little V's out here, up and down. The birds are in the sky. I do like 3 of them. And that, my friends, oops, remove our tape. It'd be kind of cute if you put someone's name on the, like the little canoe. Ooh. That is our mini Monday lake. Isn't it cute? You can add a little deeper kind of red if you wanted to also. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Don't forget, if you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable. But I gave you a reference photo, guys, and I just kind of fixed the background the way I wanted to. I'm going to change it up. Do things like that also to make it different. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Mini Monday Madness tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and please hit the bell notification button to know my tutorials up. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.